How much should you pay for suspension maintenance? How about $0? Nearly 1 in 4 drivers are already cruising around with hidden suspension problems. And these are issues that could have been completely prevented by changing a few simple habits for free. Today, we're breaking down 10 habits that silently destroy your suspension and 5 ways to save it before it costs you a dime. Number 10. Smashing potholes and rough roads. We've all done it. Cruising along, eyes on the road, and then bam, you hit a pothole so deep it feels like it reached the Earth's core. Now, here's the thing. Every time that happens, your suspension takes the hit. The shocks and struts that are supposed to absorb impact get slammed so hard that the seals can start leaking. Control arms bend, bushings tear, and those perfectly tuned suspension angles, they start shifting out of spec. Over time, what used to be a smooth ride turns into a shaky, clunky mess. The car starts bouncing more than it should. Tires wear unevenly, and you might even hear metal on metal noises. And the worst part? You probably won't notice the real damage until months later when the mechanic says, "Yeah, you'll need new shocks and maybe a control arm too." So, the next time you see that crater in the road, slow down. Don't be the guy who tests the durability of his suspension for fun. Your wallet will thank you. Number 9. Hitting curbs and speed bumps too fast. Curbs and speed bumps aren't meant to be obstacles, they're warnings. But a lot of drivers treat them like minor inconveniences. You know the type, flying over speed bumps like it's a rally stage or parking with a full-on curb assault. When you slam into a curb or take a bump too fast, all that force transfers straight into your suspension. Struts compress beyond their limit, tie rods get stressed, and wheels can actually bend slightly out of shape. You might not even notice right away, but the next time your steering feels off or your alignment's pulling to one side, yep, that's curb damage talking. And once you bend something like a strut mount or a lower control arm, it's not a quick fix. That's a repair that can easily run hundreds of dollars. Number 8. Driving aggressively. Let's be real. Pushing your car feels fun. Hard cornering, fast acceleration, and slamming on the brakes make you feel in control. But here's the hidden cost. Your suspension's getting beaten up every time you do it. When you take a corner too aggressively, your suspension leans hard, putting massive stress on sway bars, bushings, and strut mounts. Hard braking dumps weight on the front shocks, wearing them out faster, while hard launches stretch and stress the rear components. It's like forcing your car to squat and jump over and over again. Eventually, it gets tired. You might start noticing more body roll, weird noises when turning, or uneven tire wear. All signs that your suspension's not happy. Sure, it's fun to feel like you're in a racing movie, but unless you've got a track-ready setup, your everyday suspension isn't built for that abuse. Number 7. Carrying too much weight. You know your friend who treats their car like a moving van? Yeah, don't be that person. Overloading your car might seem harmless, but your suspension pays the price every single mile. Springs are designed to carry a specific load. Exceed that and they compress too far, forcing your shocks to work overtime. It's like walking around with a heavy backpack for days. Your shoulders eventually give out. For your car, that translates into worn-out springs, blown shocks, and bottoming out over bumps. Even worse, overloading changes your alignment and handling. The car starts to feel sluggish, steering feels heavier, and braking distances increase because the suspension can't rebound properly. So always check your vehicle's load rating. It's usually listed on the door jamb or owner's manual. Keep the weight balanced and your suspension will last years longer. Number 6. Ignoring wheel alignment. Wheel alignment is one of those things people love to ignore until it's too late. Maybe your car's pulling slightly to one side, or your steering wheel isn't quite straight. You think, it's fine. But here's the truth. Misalignment slowly destroys your suspension from the ground up. When your wheels aren't properly aligned, every bump and turn sends uneven force through your suspension. Ball joints, tie rods, strut mounts, they're all working against each other, wearing down faster than they should. Plus, misalignment causes uneven tire wear, which makes things even worse, since the tires stop absorbing impacts evenly. You'll start hearing clunks, feeling vibrations, and watching your fuel economy dip. And when you finally go to fix it, it's not just an alignment anymore. It's a full suspension job. So make it a habit to check your alignment at least once a year, or anytime you hit a big pothole or curb. It's a small investment that can literally save you thousands down the line. Number 5, bad or inconsistent tire pressure. Tire pressure is one of those things people ignore until they're staring at a flat. But here's the catch. Driving with the wrong pressure, even when the tire looks fine, is one of the fastest ways to ruin your suspension. When tires are underinflated, they flex more than they should, absorbing impacts unevenly. That extra flex forces your shocks and struts to work overtime. On the flip side, when they're overinflated, the tires become rock hard, transferring every little bump straight into your suspension components. Either way, your suspension is taking unnecessary abuse. The scary part is that it happens silently. You might not notice anything at first until the car starts riding rough or your tires wear unevenly. The good news? This is one of the easiest habits to fix. Just grab a tire gauge, check your pressures at least once a month, and set them to the manufacturer's specs. It's cheap, quick, and could easily add years to your suspension's life. Number 4, skipping tire rotation and balancing. Now let's talk about a simple maintenance step most people forget: tire rotation and balancing. You see, each wheel on your car wears differently depending on its position, driving habits, and suspension geometry. If you don't rotate them, the front tires wear unevenly while the rears stay fresh. And that uneven wear throws off the entire balance of the car. When your tires are out of balance, you'll feel vibration through the steering wheel, and that vibration travels directly into the suspension, shaking bushings, stressing mounts, and loosening components over time. It's like constantly tapping your car's joints with a hammer while driving. Rotating and balancing your tires every 5,000 to 7,000 miles keeps wear even and your suspension stable. It also gives you a chance to spot problems early, like a bent rim, a leaking strut, or uneven tread wear that hints at a deeper suspension issue. Number 3, keeping worn shocks and struts too long. Most people wait until their shocks are completely blown before replacing them, but by then the damage is already done. When shocks or struts wear out, they can't dampen movement anymore. That means every bump, dip, and turn hits the suspension full force. Springs and mounts start taking impacts they were never designed to handle, and over time, they fatigue and fail. You'll start noticing excessive bouncing after bumps, a nosedive when braking, and maybe even that floating feeling on the highway. Ignoring it doesn't just wear down your suspension, it affects safety too. Your tires lose contact with the road during sharp turns or heavy braking, reducing traction. So if your ride feels bouncy or unstable, don't brush it off. Replacing shocks or struts isn't cheap, but it's way cheaper than rebuilding the entire suspension later. Number 2, letting rust and salt build up. Here's one most people never think about: rust. Especially if you live somewhere with salted winter roads or drive on muddy trails. Over time, road salt, grime, and moisture start eating away at suspension components. At first, it's just surface rust, but if left unchecked, it becomes structural corrosion, and that's where the danger starts. A rusted spring can snap under normal driving, a corroded control arm can fail during a sharp turn, and a seized bolt can make future repairs a nightmare. The fix? Regular underbody washes, especially after winter or off-road driving. Get that salt and grime off before it eats into metal. If you want to go the extra mile, apply an undercoating or rust inhibitor once a year. It's not glamorous maintenance, but it's one of the smartest ways to keep your suspension strong for the long haul. Number 1, ignoring the warning signs. And finally, the worst habit of them all: ignoring what your car is trying to tell you. Clunking noises, uneven tire wear, the car pulling to one side, or that extra bounce after a bump. These are all early warning signs that your suspension needs attention. But most people turn up the radio and pretend it's nothing. The problem is, small issues don't stay small. A worn bushing turns into a bent control arm. A leaky shock ruins your tire tread. And before you know it, you're replacing half the suspension system because you ignored a $50 fix. Your car talks, it just doesn't use words. It's through the way it rides, the sounds it makes, the way it handles corners. Pay attention early and you'll save yourself thousands in repairs and keep your car feeling tight and safe for years. Now, once you know what's killing your suspension, the next step isn't to panic or start pricing out parts. It's about changing a few simple habits that make a massive difference over time. You don't need fancy tools or a mechanic's garage. just a little awareness and regular care. So before your suspension turns into another expensive lesson, let's look at a few easy ways to keep it alive, smooth, and ready for the long haul. Number 5, slow down and pick your line. Let's start with the simplest fix, slow down. Most suspension damage happens because drivers don't give their car time to react. You hit a pothole at 40 instead of 20, and suddenly the force that was supposed to be absorbed turns into a full body punch to your shocks, springs, and mounts. If you're on rough roads, don't just brace for impact, ease into the bumps. Approach speed bumps at an angle if you can, and give your suspension room to flex. Even small adjustments like slowing before a rough patch or steering around deep holes can make a massive difference. Remember, it's not about babying your car. It's about giving it a chance to do its job properly. Smooth drivers always have smoother rides. Number 4, keep your tires healthy. Tires are like the first line of defense for your suspension, and if they're off, everything above them suffers. Check your tire pressure at least once a month, ideally when the tires are cold. Low pressure makes your suspension work overtime, while overinflation transfers every impact directly to the frame. Find that sweet spot listed on the driver's door jamb and stick to it. Rotation is another game changer. Every 5,000 to 7,000 miles, swap the tires around so they wear evenly. Balanced tires reduce vibration, keep the suspension geometry stable, and help your shocks and struts live longer. It's such a small maintenance step, but it keeps your entire system running in harmony. A properly maintained tire setup doesn't just protect your suspension. It gives you better fuel economy, smoother handling, and safer braking too. So yeah, a simple air gauge and rotation schedule can save you a lot of money in the long run. Number 3, get regular wheel alignments. This one's often overlooked until it's too late. You should think of wheel alignment as a regular health check for your suspension system. When your wheels are even slightly out of alignment, your car starts fighting itself. Every turn, every bump, every brake input puts uneven stress on your joints, struts, and tires. A proper alignment resets everything. It restores the right camber, caster, and toe angles, meaning all 4 wheels are working together instead of against each other. That's less wear, less vibration, and a smoother, more controlled ride. The best time to get an alignment? At least once a year, or immediately after you hit a hard pothole or curb. It's usually under $100, and that's pocket change compared to replacing tie rods, control arms, or strut mounts later. Number 2, replace worn parts before they fail. Most suspension disasters start small. A little squeak, a faint rattle, a tiny oil stain near a shock. And then people ignore it until it snowballs into a full-blown breakdown. Here's the rule. If you suspect something's worn, check it. Shocks, struts, bushings, and mounts all wear gradually, but they give you plenty of warning signs before they fail. Replacing them early keeps the rest of the system under less stress and prevents a chain reaction of expensive failures. Think of it like changing your shoes before the soles rip apart. It's not glamorous, but it keeps everything else in shape. Plus, new suspension parts transform how your car feels. That floaty, bouncy ride suddenly becomes tight, smooth, and confident again. Maintenance isn't just about avoiding problems. It's about restoring that fresh, new car feel. Number 1, wash and protect the undercarriage. Here's one that most people never consider. Keeping the underside of your car clean. Road salt, mud, and grime build up under there and slowly eat away at your suspension mounts, arms, and bolts. The corrosion might start small, but once rust sets in, it spreads like wildfire. And before you know it, you've got a control arm that's one winter away from snapping. So here's what to do. After every winter, off-road trip, or rainy season, give your undercarriage a thorough wash. Most car washes offer underbody sprays, or you can do it yourself with a pressure washer. If you live in a rust-prone area, apply a protective coating once or twice a year. Products like rubberized undercoats or rust inhibitors can go a long way. It doesn't take much effort, but it'll keep your suspension hardware strong, rust-free, and ready to take on whatever roads you throw at it. Which one of these habits are you guilty of? And which one has ruined your car's suspension in the past? Let me know in the comments.